Yes. Only for they're going to.
Okay, anyone remember which halachas we're learning? Oh, very good. Yeah. So Pesach is coming. Rosh Chodesh Nisan is Be'ez Hashem the Shabbos, and then Pesach is 2 weeks after that. The first night of Pesach is going to be on a Friday night, and yeah.
In our last class, Rabbi mentioned that like we dip challah in salt or like any bread in salt during the year, but not any salt. Like we don't dip matzah in salt. We put the salt on the bone.
Yeah. Well, so there's two things. Yeah. So by the seder, we don't put salt on the matzah because on the night of the seder, it's a mitzvah to eat the matzah. So you don't want any other taste mixed in with it because that's the mitzvah.
That's my question. Is by seder for all?
Just for the seder, yeah. And for the rest of Pesach, you'll see you make a mitzvah on the Shabbos or any other time, so you won't dip it because you can't really dip the matzah, but you'll sprinkle salt, and that counts. Yeah. So the first night of Pesach is Friday night. That means bedikas chametz, checking the house, the dorm for chametz, falls on a Thursday night, and I'm sure everyone is getting ready for Pesach before, right?
Yeah.
Usually, right? You started cleaning the dorm yet?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's a word for it.
Yeah. Oh, good. So we started yesterday to discuss what is required when you're cleaning, what is required cleaning, what is not required cleaning, which kind of dust is considered chametz. That was a joke. Dust is not chametz. That was the whole point. Dust is not chametz, and your children, that's the way the Rebbe said it, to this mother, and your child is not a korban Pesach. That's yeah.
The story was on the Rebbe or on the, because I heard the story a lot, and every time someone did that, it's on someone else. Like
Okay.
One of the rabbis said that.
Okay, could be. I heard it that Yeshiva Bacha didn't want to go home for Pesach because it was too much. So I wrote into the Rebbe. Again, could be. I don't know. Could be the way you heard it was the correct way. That's the way I heard it, or at least that's the way. Could be. Could be. I remember hearing it in the name of the Rebbe, but it could be from the Rebbe Hashem. I don't know. I didn't see it printed. I only heard it. So, yes, the Rebbe's answer was that dust is not chametz and your child is not a korban Pesach. So, it's a klal gadol. It's something important to remember that just like the story that we mentioned yesterday with Rav Landau, the Rav of Bnei Brak, that when this person was staying in his house for Pesach, so he was helping out to clean for Pesach, whatever, he was staying there, so anyways, he volunteered his services, so to speak. And the Rebbitzin told him to clean literally everything spotless. And when the Rav came to the house, and he said, what are you doing? There's no chametz there. Like, well, it's not. Okay, so he stopped. Well, the Rav told him not to do it. A few minutes later, the Rebbitzin came in. She said, what are you doing? I asked you to clean over there. So what's the difference between the Rav and the Rebbitzin? The Rav was telling him the halachas of Pesach, what you have to do for Pesach, and she was telling him the halachas of spring cleaning, the laws of spring cleaning. So if you're going with spring cleaning, you have to clean everything. For Pesach, the halacha is you only have to clean the makim shemachnisin b'in chametz. In a place where chametz is brought, that you have to clean. That's the halacha, that you can't budge on. Additional things, yeah.
Sorry, I was just laughing because yesterday we had an inspection. One of the things on the list was trying to clean the AC, and so I just heard that it's dust and supplements.
I don't know, eating a sandwich over my AC is my favorite activity, so like, I don't know.
Could be.
It's all the
That's
math.
how you get
It's all the math.
Strong AC.
So I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. It's not so simple. Somebody here in Crown Heights. No, not here. Somebody who lives here. They once turned on their AC in the middle of Pesach, and it started shooting out Cheerios.
I mean, that's what happens when you have
It
kids.
kids, maybe.
That's what happens. The grandchildren, when they came before Pesach, they put Cheerios, whatever they were playing, they put Cheerios into the AC. They didn't clean it, whatever, they didn't, you don't have to. There's no, really, it's not the norm. It's not a common thing that chametz should be found in the AC.
What would you do if you went?
And the Cheerios shot straight onto the table. So you never know.
At that point, you just gotta laugh it
What do you
out.
do if you find Thomas like that?
You have to destroy it. You have to destroy it.
Just burn it or?
On Pesach itself, you have to cover it. It's muktzah, you're not allowed to touch it. You have to cover it. And chalamed, right away, you have to destroy it. Yeah. Okay, so as we mentioned yesterday, the first thing is tal shafas right on top. If it's a place where you don't store food, if you don't have any chametz there, the halacha is you are not required to clean it on the level of Pesach. If you want to do spring cleaning. That's a nice thing to do if you want, but the halacha is makom shem achris by chametz, a place where chametz is not brought. So if you know for a fact you never stored any chametzik food on top of the bookshelves, and there's no children that can reach such a high thing, it's just not used. So then the halacha is you don't have to clean it. If you want to dust it, you can dust it. But for checking for chametz, strictly speaking, it's not required. And lower parts, so even though you yourself never stored chametz there, lower parts of the bookshelf, that is different because once you have children in the house and children just walk around with their crackers, walk around with their food, so on and so forth. So anywhere where they could reach, that is required to be checked because the children bring chametz everywhere. That's that. How do you clean and how do you prepare the drawers and the kitchen drawers? What do?
You clean them and you fix them and then you cover them.
Oh, excellent. So you do three things. So you clean the jars out with a shmata, with a rag. You should also spritz because not every single part you can reach. By the corners, by the edges, it could be very hard. Sometimes it's small little particles, whatever it is. And then the minhag is you cover it. And the reason why you cover it is because this jar is going to come into contact with your food, or at least with the food utensils. So that's why on top of everything, we also cover it. And kalim, vessels, utensils that are going to be sold to the guy on over Pesach. So the custom is you clean it to make sure there's no chametz be'ein, there's no actual chametz. This is a minhag. You don't have to. If you just sell all your chametz and you store it away and it's labeled, this is sold. So strictly speaking, you don't have to remove the mamashas. You don't have to remove the actual, any pieces left, any dirt of chametz, but the minhag is that we do clean it. But again, that's the minhag and it's not required, strictly speaking, according to halacha. Okay, and even according to the minhag of those who do so, that they clean anything which doesn't come off so easily. Anything that doesn't come off so easily, so even that we're lenient. Just it's included in the sale of chametz, and that's enough. What do you do with your pockets? You have clothing that you set aside. You put it through a wash. What do you do with your pockets? You check them. Correct. The halacha is that we check them because small little crumbs, particles, whatever it is, could still technically be there. So even though it's true that detergent would passel them from achilas kalav, it would make them not edible. But nevertheless, just in case it didn't reach it fully, it didn't really soak in the detergent, the halacha is we actually do check it. How do you prepare the fridge?
Like exactly like the show.
Very good. Oh, very good. Exactly like the shelves. You clean it just with a shmata, a rag, a wet rag. You should spritz, especially by the edges. The same thing by the edges, you could get some chametz stuck. So sometimes it can be very hard. You use a toothpick, you can't get everything, so you spritz anything that you're worried about that won't get cleaned. And on top of that, just like by the jars, we also cover the fridge for the same reason. That's where you store your food. So when you store your food there, we're very makpid, we're very careful to also cover. So just in case it wasn't 100% clean, so there's no chance that it would come in contact with your food. And why do we go so extreme, so to speak, on Pesach? Why do we go so extreme on Pesach? We're so worried about even one crumb. Exactly. That's right. Oh, because on Pesach, the prohibition of chametz is b'mashahu. Even the smallest amount, it makes no difference on Pesach. Even a small crumb is chametz. There's no way out on Pesach. So that's why, even though it's a little bit far-fetched after you already cleaned it and you sprayed it, so chances are you're good. It's not gonna, but nevertheless, being that the prohibition of chametz is even b'mashahu, something so minute, we also cover it. That way, you're good to go for sure. And what about on the door of the fridge, which is a little bit, it's more of a smaller area. Is there anything different?
You need to clean like the shelves, so you need to be more careful and like
More thorough. Yeah, that's pretty much the answer, exactly. And sometimes you'll have little edges where it sinks in between different areas in the fridge, and this is true for anything. So you should take a toothpick, try to take out any chametz. It happens, sometimes you're putting away something, whatever it is, and actual crumbs fall. They always get there somehow. It's not a secret. You check, you'll see. So you try to go over it with a toothpick, try to get in there, take it out. Whatever you can do, you spray it. You spray it with a whatever cleaning agent you have. Obviously, you should be careful not to spray your food. But and then so once you spray it, and as we mentioned yesterday, the spray helps for everything up until the kazayas. Once it's a kazayas, spraying doesn't help. Kazayas is around the size of a small matchbox. Up until that amount, spraying helps to make it unfitting to be eaten, even for a dog. So as long as you spray, that is enough. Okay. How do you prepare your table?
Well,
You
you
need to
gotta
cover it.
clean it real
You need to
well.
clean it, and then you need to cover it with foil, and then with another tablespoon, and that should be 3 layers.
Oh, so in practical, there's 3 layers. Yeah. So what's done is you clean it. Well, that's easy. If it's just a regular table like this, you spray it, clean it. I'm saying use the shmata to clean it out. So the minhag is it's better to use something which is thicker. For the table, it's better to use something which is thicker. And then on top of that, anyways, you have the tablecloth. And on top of that, usually many people, they put the plastic on the tablecloth so as it shouldn't, any wine, whatever, anything that spills, it shouldn't ruin your tablecloth. So you're good to go. Can you use, here's a trick question. We did not see this inside yesterday. Can you use the same tablecloth that you use throughout the year?
No.
Oh,
Halacha you can, minhag you can't.
very good. That's
Bang.
there we go. You have a future in the world of halacha.
Oh.
No, meaning the way it was.
That's a good quote.
No, meaning the way you answered. That's because as we mentioned, as we mentioned, as we mentioned, no, why did I say that? Because many times when people ask a question, the answer is it depends. So yeah, that's the reality. It depends. So the minhag is we don't, right? We're careful to have something set aside just for Pesach. Strictly speaking, again, it doesn't mean this is something you should do. Strictly speaking, if you put the washcloth, the tablecloth through a load with detergent, it's allowed, strictly speaking. But the minhag is we don't. Minhag is you have
But
something.
it's like, it's always could like stick to it. Well, I don't know, we'll use stuff.
Exactly. Oh, and especially on Pesach, this is a very important point. This is a very, very important point. Bechlal, everything in Yiddishkeit, not just in Pesach, it's very important to stick to the minhagim, to the customs. Why is that? In Pirkei Avos it says the Maseiras is Siyag L'Torah. Something which has been Maseira, something which is passed down from generation to generation, this keeps the Torah, so to speak. By us, we don't budge. This is what was passed down. We don't move left or right. This is the way it was done. We are continuing this way. This solidifies our ability to keep the Torah, right? So even though, strictly speaking, maybe there's room for leniency, maybe, it's not really required. Do I really have to go out of my way? But when it comes to halacha, when it comes to Torah, it's very important that when it comes to minhagi Yisrael, Jewish customs, especially something which is in your own community, that people are careful about. It's very important to always stick with the minhag, because this is what keeps the Torah strong. That's yeah. Oh, that's different. Oh, then you for sure. If somebody's in a situation where they can't, it's not feasible for them to have a tablecloth, a separate one for Pesach. Yeah, then you go with the ikra. What's mikra din? What's the simple halacha? You wash it through a wash. You put detergent. There's for sure no chametz left. Anything that might have been there is completely spoiled even for a dog to eat. It was soaking in detergent. It was cleaned with detergent. There's no. So correct. So in a case where somebody is able to, it's very important to stick with them and hug him. Somebody is not able to, okay, that's still 100% a valid, 100% mahudar, a beautiful Pesach, nothing to worry about. And the truth is, when it comes to minhagim, it's not just for Pesach. It's every little single thing in Yiddishkeit. It's important to always stick to minhagi Yisrael. Ad kedei kach, it's brought down that a minhag Yisrael Torah, that a Jewish custom, it's brought down in the Pesachim, this is considered Torah. That's what it's brought down. Minhag Yisrael, the custom of the Jewish, a custom of the Jewish people, Torah. This is considered Torah. And many, many times you'll see in different halachic texts, so on and so forth, there's a custom one way that every single person in the community follows. Now, many times it could be a questionable custom. It's not so maybe it's not so acceptable according to halacha because the halacha really is like this and this. So if you do like that, it's not really in line, so on and so forth. You should know the halachic authorities work so hard to be miyashev, to be malamed schos, to show how a Jewish custom is 100% according to halacha. Anachalem Yisrael, that if not, meaning it's a big thing. The Pesach themselves, what are they busy with for a lot of their time is you can look in the responses, look in Shulchan Aruch, in the Neisei Kelim, in the commentators on the Shulchan Aruch, that they try to be miyasha. They always try to show how a minhag is not going against halacha. Sometimes it's questionable, but everyone's doing it. So they work hard. The fact that many Yidden are going and doing something in a certain direction, a certain way, they always try to show how it's okay. Again, this is something which is an accepted minhag from a community. If somebody one day decided to do something silly, whatever, and this is their minhag, that doesn't work like that. Something which is a legitimate minhag of a community, of a Jewish community, that's already different. Minhagim are what's accepted by the klal, what's accepted by the general Jewish population. Yeah, so that's when it comes to tables. So tables, as was mentioned, you clean with a shmata. You should spray also. It's always kedai, always worth it to spray. And you should put a thicker layer on the table, and then you'll have your tablecloth and the plastic cover. What do you do? Yeah.
Does it have to be together?
No, it doesn't have to be 3 layers. No, it doesn't. Practically, if you do that, it'll be 3 layers, but that's not required. What do you do with the bottom of the table? You have to clean it? Depends, exactly. Depends. If you know for a fact that there's no chametz, nobody's eating on the other side of the table, I hope, right? You put your plate there, it's not gonna last, it's gonna fall. So most people, they don't eat there. So then you don't have to clean it. But if there's kids, for sure you have to clean it. If there's kids in the house, there's no question about it. They're touching, they're playing under the table with the chametz hands.
Hear me out. They
Candies.
used to have summer camp a month before Pesach, like the entire month. Ship the kids off for a month. Yeah.
If you open one, I'll send.
All right. There's a huge market for this.
You're probably right. Yeah, so that's the halacha. So, if you know for a fact there's no food touching the bottom of the table, so strictly speaking, you don't have to. It's not, it's not common that you're eating your pizza and it's touching the bottom of the table. But if there's kids, that changes everything. What do you do with your toaster oven that you're selling?
You should still clean
You
it.
should still clean it, yeah. And sell it, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should still clean it. Make sure that there's no chametz be'ein, that there's no actual chametz, and then you sell it. Yeah, okay, that's the. Oh, now what do you do about the stovetop?
Or you do it with the hot water. Or you do it with the fire.
Just don't
With
buy
the
a
fire,
glass
there's
stove.
That's correct.
Don't do it.
That's
Glass
correct.
stove, don't even look at it.
That is correct. Yeah, you should know for yourselves. This is a very good point. When it comes to anything, it's not worth it to have a glass stove top because it's very hard to cash, if possible at all. I'm not going to go into that, if it's even possible to cash it, but you're running into serious questions.
Is there a possibility to cash it?
Depends who you
Yeah,
ask.
buy a new one.
Yeah.
That sounds simple because it's glass. So for Pesach, you definitely can't cash it because it's glass. We're machmer by glass for Pesach. Throughout the year, some say that you could cash a glass, some say you can't cash a glass. It's not simple. It's really not simple. So if you're renting an apartment and it already came with a stove, that's one thing. Then you call your Rav, you ask in your situation what to do. But if you you have the ability to choose, you can have a gas stove, with the grates and all that, or you have the glass stove top. No question about it. Do not take the glass stove top. Take the other one because that you can cash it easily without any questions. You can cash it. So what do you do with the actual grates? Anyone remember?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Cover them with the oil,
Oh.
or you put them inside the oven with
The
a
self-clean.
hot
Yeah.
Still covered even.
Oh, very, very good. So it requires libum. As we mentioned yesterday, there's two ways of kashering, and there's a subcategory in one of them. There's hagala. Hagala is through kashering through boiling water while the water is still boiling. We're going to get there. Now we're discussing it because many people, this is already a preparation. They start cleaning before Pesach, and they already start cooking food which is kosher the Pesach. Not here. You started? No.
On
No.
Sunday, the kosher.
On Sunday. Oh, okay. You- who's
Yeah.
doing it?
Some rabbi with blowtorch.
Okay, it's worth it to watch.
I want to do it.
Ask him if you can do it. No. If you have a rabbi coming doing it, do as much as you could. Ask him all the questions in the world. Watch. No, I'm serious. Watch how he does it.
We set off the fire alarm in Florida doing it.
Oh, very good.
And then when the fire department came, he was like, yeah, just let me know when the kosher ceremony's done. Like, he
Oh, he
just
knows
yelled
about
at us
it.
enough times. He knew. He was true.
No, so if you're having it on Sunday, use out the opportunity. Watch, listen, ask questions, make sure you see how he does it. Have him explain why he's doing it. It's very important because when you have your own home, everybody kashers. So you have to know how to do it properly. Actually,
Can I do it by myself or I need someone like?
no, you can do it by yourself.
No,
No, you can do it by yourself. In Masifta, when I was learning Masifta, it's equivalent age of high school. So we were learning Masechta Pesachim that year, and we learned all the halachas of kashrut. So at the end, when we finished, we brought down actually somebody in the yeshiva themselves, works for a kashrut. He's on top of the head of the kashrut agency in the city where it was. And he actually came and demonstrated how to kasher. Because there's one thing to learn it in the Sefer, in the Svarim, in the books. So in theory, okay, so this requires libum kal, a smaller level of fire. This requires libum gomer, a higher level of fire, but you don't actually know what that practically means, right? So he came and he showed us. He had a huge blowtorch. He said, on this setting, this is considered a libum kal, and he showed us the fire that came out of that. He said, this is only going to get you libum kal. He made it higher, the highest level. This is libum gomer. It was a huge fire. He showed us what Hagala is, how it works. So it's important, if you have this opportunity on Sunday, watch it. Don't give it up. It's very important. Yeah, so as was mentioned, the grates, we kasher them through libum. This is either done by putting it, the easiest thing is in a self-clean oven. You don't have to do anything. Or you have to completely clean it, make sure that there's no mamashas, and you cover it over, and you put it on the highest fire for 15-20 minutes or so, and then I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but if I didn't, it was a mistake, that you should cover it with aluminum foil after. I didn't mention it, right? Yeah, so that's my mistake. Yeah, after you kasher it with the fire, you should still cover it with aluminum foil. And the same thing, if you have different grades for Pesach, so the ones that you're selling to the guy, you should still clean it like everything else we mentioned. And the actual burner part, the part which separates the fire, that makes it go evenly, that's strictly speaking. Turn on the fire for the highest level, 5 minutes, and you're good to go. Same thing, if you're selling that burner part, make sure there's no chametz, and then you can sell it with the rest. What do you do with in between the fire burners where food can fall?
It's easily removable, so you remove it and clean it. But if not, it's like
Just keep it closed.
the wall.
Yeah, very good, yeah. Very, very good, excellent, that's the answer. So there's two things. There is the part which is visible, the surface area of the stovetop, that is required to be cleaned, and the minhag is we cover it. So you clean it, you use all the cleaning agents, you scrub it down, and you cover it. Strictly speaking, you don't have to do hagala because the food is not touching it. It's not coming at all in contact with your food. So it's the same idea as a table. You spray it very, very well, you make sure it's 100% clean, and it has to be covered. Yeah.
sometimes like we can just do up something.
You're not gonna eat it. Oh, well, oh, that's why you cover it. That's why you cover it. Once it's covered, that takes care of that. Yeah. Oh, and then this that was mentioned, the other part is below the stovetop there's a lot of chametz. So it's not always so practical to actually clean it. It's sometimes impossible. Or you need to get a professional, whatever it is. So that has the din of the halacha of as if 30 days before Pesach, a wall collapsed and it's covered over chametz and it's in a rumble. It's all right. That is considered destroyed. So the same idea over here, the Pesach right, being that you can't access it and it's completely sealed off, and it's been like that for a very long time, and you can't access it. So that's considered a similar scenario of this halacha, and it's not required to. You're not required to do anything. But if you could access it and you could clean it, that's different. Then you are required to do so. Just be careful. Don't break your stovetop. Okay. Okay, you have the platter, the electric burner, what was the hot plate? Yeah, you have the hot plate. How do you kasher that? You scrub it and irui. Excellent. You scrub it. You should also put on the highest level, and you pour as the water still. We're going to get into how exactly irui is done. We'll discuss that. But you should also do irui with boiling water on the entire surface. Okay. You have marble, a marble countertop. That's easier to kasher. If it's stone, if it's 100% marble, there's no plastic or any other ingredients mixed into it, you have the easiest time. All you do is Hagala, you do an irui, you take boiling water, as it's still boiling, you'll pour it over, make sure every single area, the surface area is covered, and then we'll learn how to do irui. Right away you clean it up, but that you can kasher. Yeah?
I think we had in one of our apartments that we lived, so there was such a counter, and my father poured the boiling water. And then he took
Evan Luban, yeah.
Yeah, and then he did on top and only cleaned it and then covered it.
Yeah. Very, very, yeah. This is also brought down. That you could do it. What's better is to do it like this, to do it with something called an Evan Muluban. What does that mean? When you're pouring the hot water, it can cool down much faster. So what do you do to keep it hot so it should kasher? You have a stone that was heated and it's very hot, and you go over it to make sure the water stays hot. So this is the best way to kasher. Sometimes it's required, sometimes not. Even when it's not required, it is still better to do so. So that will Emir Hashem cover. So after you kashered the marble, then you cover it. Same idea. You should put. It's better to put something thick. PVC, whatever, a different type of cover. It's a little bit thicker, and then it's for sure good. You can put your foot on it, no problem. When it comes to two things to watch out for. Sometimes the marble is not 100% marble. It's mixed with plastic, it's artificial. This is very common, so that actually cannot be kashered. So then in such a case, you clean everything completely, you clean the surface, you spritz any areas, if there's any cracks in the actual marble, in the countertop, so you should make sure to clean it well, spritz it to make sure that you covered everything. And then you cover it just like your table. It's the same idea. Okay, and then what do you do with the sink, the actual, not the faucet, but the sink, so that if it's made out of metal, you're in luck. You can kasher it. That's easy. Same idea as with the marble. You would take boiling water. You would do irim miklirishain. You would do you would pour hot water from while it's still boiling, and make sure to cover every single area. So how would you do so? So this is important. Again, we're going to discuss the halachas of kashering in depth, but I'm just going to mention it now, just so you'll have it in the back of your mind. Anytime that you're doing hagala, anytime that you're kashering through hot water, you have to make sure that the thing that you're kashering and the utensil that you're using to kasher were not used within 24 hours. This is important. Why? What does this accomplish waiting 24 hours? This accomplishes that it becomes Neisen Tam Lefgam. What does that mean? It means that any taste that the vessel, the utensil, had in it before, after 24 hours, it loses its taste. It becomes pogum. It becomes a blemished taste, for lack of a better word. So Neisen Tam Lefgam, it's Eina Ben Yoma, it's not used within 24 hours. So then it has a special halachic status of a blemished taste, and then you can kasher it. So it's important. So when you're doing the marble, the countertops, or when you're doing the sinks, so you should leave them for 24 hours, and the utensil that you're using to kasher, you should leave for 24 hours, and then you'll kasher it. And the minhag is we also put an insert. The plastic inserts, they have them here. If you don't have an insert, that's fine. You can put aluminum foil, that's fine. It also does the job. And the faucet, the actual spout where the water comes out from, this also you should kasher. So most of the time it's metal, so that's easy. You turn it, it's brought down. So you do the same thing. You do an irei mikli rishain, make sure you get every single area, and the minhag is we also cover it, just in case. What about the walls of the house? Yes, it depends. Very good. What does it depend on?
It depends if it's like where there's kids and
Yeah, that's the answer. Oh, very good. That's really the answer. There is a minhag brought down in Shulchan Aruch that many people wash their walls on Pesach. And in Shulchan Aruch, it's brought down not to laugh at people that do it. Oh, we'll get there. It's a shame we'll get there. It's brought down not to laugh. On Pesach, it's the only time where we go a little bit overboard, right? Especially in Chabad, we go overboard a little bit with Pesach. When you walk into somebody's kitchen, you think you're in a space. A spaceship. Everything is in aluminum foil. Everything is. So the reality is, when it comes to walls, sometimes you actually do have to clean it, not just because of the minhag, but me'ikra din, you actually have to clean it. And as was mentioned, why? Because if there's kids, they have their food and sticky hands, and they just touch the walls, and that leaves a residue of actual chametz, of mamish chametz. They're eating the chocolate pudding with their cracker, and everything's mixed in, and then they smudge the whatever it is. So anything which actually has a mamashas, anything which has any substance to it, if you see something, you have to clean it. So if you see that it's a clean wall, that there's no chametz, it's completely clean, there's no kids and there's no smudges, you clearly see that there's nothing here. So the minhag is you'll wipe it down, whatever it is, but it's not 100% required. If you don't do it, it's not a problem. But if there is something there, there is actual chametz be'ein, you have actual residue of real chametz, or something that even may be chametz, you don't know, that definitely has to be cleaned. And the wall in the kitchen, this is already, not only do we clean it, but we cover it also, correct? Especially the backslash behind the sink or behind the stovetop, that we do clean, and we actually cover it with aluminum foil. That's more important because there's much more of a chance that something was actually there, and it could come in contact with your food. So there we actually are much more strict. What about blinds or shades? It's a trick question.
If you have children.
Yeah, that's the answer. So theoretically speaking, you see there's a pattern over here. What's the pattern?
It's so
Mocking.
much easier to have kids.
Yeah.
Life's not worth it if you don't have kids. So
Uh,
it's worth it to have kids. It's in the short run, it may be more work, but it's the best thing that you can ever have. Yeah, so the blinds, okay, we don't have here. So strictly speaking, you don't need to clean it. If there's kids, then obviously if they touch the bottom part, whatever they could reach, now there is a concern that they touched it when their hands were dirty. So that should be cleaned, it should be washed, to check it out to see if there's anything there. If there is, you should clean it with water and soap to make sure it's clean. If it's an area that you can't reach for whatever it is, for whatever reason, the blinds, spray it. If it's less than a kazayas, if it's less than the size of a matchbox of chametz, you destroy it and you're good to go. A car definitely needs to be cleaned, not just if you have kids, because you eat sometimes in the car. Just don't tell anyone. Yeah, you eat in the car, you have your bag of potato chips, your cookies, whatever, that's for sure, no question about it, that definitely has to be cleaned. This is a nice thing. It's brought down when you're cleaning the doors, whatever it is, to make sure if you're using water to be careful with the mezuzah, not to get it wet. Yeah, so that's this is very important. Anyone who has a vacuum cleaner, make sure you empty the bag before Pesach. Because all the chametz, this is important. This you can't forget, because there's plenty of chametz in there after Pesach cleaning. So that is very important, to empty the sack, empty the bag, which holds in it all the dust and the chametz that was actually collected. Yeah.
Do you clean the mezuzahs?
No, so the mezuzahs, if you see it maybe a little bit dirty, you can just wipe it with water and spray, but be careful not to get water into the actual mezuzah. Yeah, a bunch of hands touch it. You never know, somebody maybe their hands were dirty or whatever it is. It's worth it to just wipe it with a damp cloth. Shmat. Okay, in Mitzvah Hashem, we will continue.
Where